An invasion is defined as an instance of invading a country or region, an incursion by a large number of people, an unwelcome intrusion into another's domain. The Constitution states in Article 4, Section 4, "The United States shall guarantee to every state in this Union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion, regardless of how the average person defines an invasion today. An excess of 100,000 foreigners from one country, deliberately violating our laws to gain entry into our nation every year is tantamount to an invading political or social force. When illegal aliens get involved in our political process to vote, demand representation, politically protest, or try to participate in our political processes, then they become political combatants not only as an invading force, but are actively working to undermine our laws." In addition to the protection from invasion, the Constitution also requires Congress to exercise the power to establish an uniform rule of naturalization. Throughout the United States, a uniform rule of naturalization does not include giving a race, culture, or an age group preferential treatment over any other immigrant. Uniformity means all immigrants have equal opportunity to immigrate and that the same entrance criteria is applied to all. The truth is, there are tens of millions of invaders in America today. Even more important, the Constitution also requires all senators and representatives, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. This means our public servants are required to support the Constitution and protect each state from invasion by ensuring an invasion by foreigner for social, military, or political purposes is repelled. When public servants give aid or comfort to those violating the Constitution, or acting with the intent to violate its laws, then these public servants are subversive to the Constitution, deliberately rebelling against the Constitution and laws in pursuance thereof, in essence, committing perjury. The framers placed several checks and balances into the Constitution. One such check in the Constitution was requiring all public servants, federal and state, be bound by a legal oath of office. The oath of office was to ensure our public servants would be bound to support the Constitution and not bound to support a person, the government itself, or a party. After the Civil War, Congress recognized that the oath of office, and depending upon the honor and character of a person, was inadequate. They felt the Constitution needed greater teeth to regulate the behavior of all public servants, both federal and state. This is why Section 3 was added to the 14th Amendment, to protect the Constitution from future rebellious public servants. During the debates in Congress, Section 3 was well defined that a public servant who violates their oath of office would be deemed as moral perjury. If a public servant commits moral perjury at any level of government, they would be violating their oath of office by which they are bound to uphold. Therefore, according to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, public servants committing moral perjury would no longer be qualified to hold a public office. This loss of qualification means they must be immediately removed from office, and banned from holding any public office for the remainder of their lives. Just like impeachment, this is not a criminal punishment nor a court process. A public servant is deemed no longer qualified to hold office. Public servants who blatantly violate their oath to not support the Constitution but support those rebelling against the Constitution are committing moral perjury. Supporting the Constitution obligates public servants to perform duties such as protecting each state from invasion. Consequently, any member of Congress who fails to protect the states from an invasion is violating their oath of office and instead protecting people violating our laws. Any elected official offering preferential treatment to illegal aliens are also violating the Constitution's uniform rule of naturalization. Obviously, Section 3 is being ignored. If we are to preserve our laws and Constitution, we must demand full compliance to the Constitution. Since elected officials have not been inclined to enforce Section 3, then the enforcement must start with we the people. The only approach in obtaining full compliance is starting with our public servants at the local and state level. Calling for Republic review. This is the only process that will initiate compliance to not only the enumerated roles, responsibilities, and powers, but also identify those servants who seek to defend unconstitutional RRPs. State legislators, county commissioners or supervisors, sheriffs, and coroners have the authority to call for common law grand juries, which are capable of enforcing Section 3. Until we use the teeth in the Constitution to remove those deliberately violating the Constitution, this problem of non-compliance will continue to get worse.